So today I'm changing out the spark plugs on my 2009 Lancer Ralliart. It's nothing too crazy, just some simple maintenance. If you're new to tools or just starting out, this is a great first job to try. Before I go bolting on any more mods, I want to make sure this car is actually running right. So first thing I did was I gave the engine bay a quick clean, brushed some of the dust out and gave it a wipe down. Just makes it a nicer space to work in. Now to properly get started, I had to unplug the harnesses from the coils. These are a little bit annoying. You've got to press the bottom and the top tab at the same time and then pull them off. They can get a bit stuck and are a little bit janky at times, but once you get the hang of it, the rest come off a lot easier. So this last one here, I actually had to use both hands just because of the way it was positioned and it was pretty stuck on there. Now that was done, I went ahead and labeled my coils. Now this isn't something that you have to do, but I definitely recommend it, just because each one's slightly different and it just saves you guessing later when you go to put them back in, which one's which. I just used a little bit of tape and a pen and it did the trick just fine. These little 10mm bolts here are what hold the coils in place, and that's what we'll be taking out next. Once those bolts are off, you can go ahead and start pulling your coils out. Make sure you put them in a place that's safe and clean. So now that the coils are out, you can go ahead and have a look just inside here, and that's where your spark plugs actually sit. So it was at this point, I thought I was ready to start pulling the plugs out. I had my spark plug socket, but as I've gone to go start loosening them, I've realized I've got the wrong size socket. I've got a 20mm and I needed a 16. You can see here, it really was not going to fit. So I ended up heading out to Repco and grabbing the proper socket, which was a 16mm one. This one's got a little magnet inside, which makes it a heap easier to pull the plugs out without actually dropping them. Now that I had the right tool, I could start by loosening my old spark plugs. Whoever did these last time had really over-tightened them, which can be a bit dangerous. If they're too tight, they can start cracking and potentially break. So these were pretty stubborn to get off, but I ended up getting them out. Here's what one looked like straight out of the engine. And look, honestly, they're not that bad, but it's definitely gunky enough that it was time for a change. For the replacements, I went for the NGK Iridium spark plugs. They're pretty much the go-to for Evos and Ralliarts, so you know they'll do the job. Here's a quick before and after side by side, and you can see a huge difference between the two. Putting the new plugs in is basically just the reverse of taking them out. So drop the new plug in, thread it by hand so you don't cross thread it, snug it up until you feel a little bit of tension, and then I gave it about a half turn more just so I didn't over tighten them. Taking the next one out, I noticed this one had way more gunk than the first couple. You can see a lot more build up on it. So after all the plugs were swapped out, I went ahead and put the coils back in, just in reverse order really. Coils in, bolts on, and then reclip all the harnesses. Make sure everything's snug, double check it all, and that's it. Job done, spark plugs are replaced, and the car's ready to go. So that's the spark plugs swapped out. Nothing too crazy, but good peace of mind knowing that they're fresh. I've got a lot planned for this car, so it's nice to tick off the basics before I start chasing some proper mods.